Have I got something to tell you? There's a place that I know. There's a place that I need. There's a place that I wouldn't want you to not be a part of. There's a place that doesn't have anybody else in it except for me, maybe, or somebody else too that you need to know about. And the message is this: there's hope, there's dreams, there's places that can be, places that you can find a good thing for you, maybe a good thing for me, maybe a good thing for anybody who has dreams and have places that they need to be and need to go. Yes, sirree. But if you have dreams and you have places that you want to go and you have ways that you can get there, but you don't know have the means to get there, then you need help from people who can get you there. So if I'm talking a little bit like maybe I'm trying to sell something, maybe I'm trying to sell something to all of you who listen to me, watch me, who like me, who maybe you give me likes or maybe not, or maybe just look at me, maybe wonder why is this dude doing this? Is it any good? Is he doing anything good? What's he doing with it? Why is he just out the blue? Maybe I'm not really out the blue. I've been doing it for about a year, but it's been getting better and better and better and better and better. And I love to do it. I love to make a difference in this world. I love to do what I do. I love to post the things I do. I love the variety that I do too. I don't want to be someone that has to, do a 9 to 5 job, but I'm someone who has to do a 9 to 5 job. But the 9 to 5 job is something that takes 9 to 5, and 9 to 5 is okay for me too. If I have to do a 9 to 5 job, 9 to 5 is something that I can do pretty much any time. Is probably true. Maybe if I can't find a job right away, I'll just teach tennis like I used to. See, I was a badass tennis coach, and I just got fucked up and using drugs, and I slowly lost all my clientele. Not because they fired me, because I fired them. I slowly started to decrease the number of students that I had because I just couldn't handle, missing practices. And it might be some weird for anybody who's ever had a coach, a private coach or any kind. That's the kind of coach I was. I was a private coach. I taught junior kids from the beginning level all the way to college level, all the way to professional level. I had one student that played at professional level. I was able to train people at that level, drill them, smoke them. I could hit with them, but they would smoke me. Kids that were 10 years old, they could barely hit with me. I had to go ahead and hit slow like a little baby so they could get the ball over the net. Grew up, stayed with me until they were old, college level, then pro level. Yeah, yeah. It took only a few years before they could smoke me. But I love to see that. I love to see the growth, and I love to see kids grow, and I love to see kids improve, and I love to see people improve too. I love the way that I could inspire them to believe in them. I love the way that I would just dream for them. I love the way that I could just say, you know what? I'm going to dream for you, even though you don't know what your dream might be. So if I dream for you and I dream for me and I dream for many people that maybe don't believe that I can be someone who can have dreams that maybe they can share with me. See, what I'm trying to get to is that I need some help, and I need some help from other people who may know me or may see me or may like me or may just see me from time to time. And what I understand is God tells me, God's the one that tells me. And God tells me to tell you this too. The reason I stopped coaching, it wasn't because I sucked. It wasn't because I couldn't show up. I could still show up. I just couldn't show up as much as I needed to show up so I could make a pretty good buck. Tennis coaches sometimes they get a bad rap because people are like always asking, "What do you do for a living?" And I would say I'm a tennis coach. And they go, like, "What high school?" Now, understanding anything about tennis coaching in the tennis community or junior tennis, because junior tennis was what I specialized in, is what I did. And I didn't like coaching adults because adults were tough to coach. Adults would question you. They wonder, they'd ask you why. It's not true. They just were stubborn to change. It was difficult to change an adult's technique. Some adults were very malleable, and you could. But my style of coaching was not nice. My style of coaching was harsh. I was a badass coach. I was a mean coach. I was the coach that would tell parents before, I had a first lesson with them. They'd ask me, "Can you coach me?" Because they heard about me. "Can you coach my kids?" They heard about me, and I'd look at them and I say, "Well, okay, we talk about it," and I'd have a half-hour conversation with them and their kid, if they were right there, or them, and try and talk them out of me being their coach for them. That I was going to be the coach for them because I was the guy who's going to make your kid work hard. I was going to make the kid cry. I was going to make their kid not be a star. I didn't tolerate laziness. I didn't like laziness. I didn't like kids who couldn't fucking try. I didn't like kids who could try and then didn't want to try. And I didn't really abide by people who just thought they were too damn good or knew too much. I knew way more than anybody I ever come across in the court. Isn't true, but it isn't true. I knew a lot more than many people knew. And I did it because I taught myself how to coach. See, I'm self-taught is how I learned how to coach. And I coach to coach to extraordinarily high level is what I did. Biomechanics was my specialty. I could look at a stroke, I could look at a forehand, and I could break it down, the biomechanics of it, to the musculature, which muscle needed to fire first, which rotation, angle the wrist needed to be, at what angle the wrist needed to lift up on the initial unit turn, how the timing should be. And continuous motion was what I burned into my students' minds about what needed to be done, because continuous motion is what I would say is this smoothness of the stroke that they needed to get done. I didn't like choppy strokes. Most of the students, without exception, when they played at a decent level, juniors, always would get the feedback from people who watched them play that they played smooth with beautiful technique. Beautiful technique is what I loved to see. Beautiful technique to me was a reflection I did something right. Fluidity and smoothness was a reflection that I did something right. Competition was different. You could have pretty strokes and lose. And and I had students who had pretty strokes and lost. But I had students who also went on to play high-level tennis, and I had students who I lost too, because other coaches, would poach them and use them to build their academies and stuff like that. But I was a cat who was just like, you know what, I love to coach and I don't mind, but I didn't like losing students like that, especially ones that I invested a lot of time, and I knew kids, who were amazing people, who I saw blossom and bloom into young adults. I saw the light bulb goes off in some of the kids who played at the highest levels, who believed that they couldn't do something, and I just convinced them that what they thought was impossible was possible. And I was there, and I had the privilege of being able to see those moments, a few, where that light bulb just went off. I remember one time I told one of my students too, he was like, man, I can't get the timing on this on my forehand. He was a little bit better. He was like 16 maybe at the time. He was high level, went on to be able to play pro level. College level easily. He'd hit against college kids, and he'd be like college kids before when he was younger, couldn't hit it with them. When he got old enough, he hit with the college kids. He could stick with them. He had a lot of respect for them too, though. He always thought everybody was better trained, because how could I have a good coach? He's just nobody. He's nobody. And I just had a small contingent of students. And I specialized in being very, 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 specialized in how I taught. I wouldn't do a cookie for all, one size fits all. I looked at each person, each family, the commitment, what they wanted, where they were going, and how they wanted to get there. Money was a factor, but money was a factor in tennis. Tennis is an expensive thing. And I didn't like that tennis was an expensive thing for rich kids. And I started off charging $40 an hour for a lesson. And I stayed that way for a long time. And then I went up to 50 eventually, but I didn't like the coaches were charging $80 an hour for what I provided for $40 an hour, $50 an hour. I just didn't want people to be excluded from the chance to be able to have a high-level coach, me, and have to not be able to pay for it. Because when I had a student, they stayed for me for years. That was the one thing that was unique about me as a coach. I kept them for years. And it was a privilege to have them. Because they treated me real good. They threw me birthday parties. They'd always give me gifts. And Christmas time, they knew my children too. My children would play with them. My children would hit with them. My children respected them. My children were respected by them. My children were tennis players? No. My daughter was. My son? No. He didn't want to go be a tennis player. No. He didn't want to be a tennis player. No. But it was a sad story for me to tell. It's not a sad story for me now to tell, because when I'm trying to be somebody better than I used to be, because when I was not at the peak of my life, I had kids and I had a wife. I had a house several different times, and I moved several times, and I had luck in my life too. I was able to have a pretty high standard of living, because my kids and my ex-wife were the ones who I needed to feed and I needed to do, and I had to work jobs that I didn't like too. I worked 9 years of jobs that I hated when my child was born, my daughter was born. I hated that job, but it was a job with good people around, good people that were there. But the job I didn't like. And I would shake, my leg would shake every time before a shift, because I didn't like doing it. But I'd get it done, and I did it because I needed to provide for my family. I did that for 9 years. So I know that I can provide, 9 years is not a long time. But because I'm an addict, yeah, and I'm an addict, who still calls himself an addict, not because I'm actively using it right now, because I didn't go ahead do anything like that right before I got on here. I'm talking fast because I can talk fast. And I can talk fast and make sense, and I can rhyme, and I can do all kinds of amazing things because when I'm an addict who fell from grace, I'm an addict who had a job, showed up, I'm an addict who had a house and kept his house. He had money and kept his money and didn't lose his money, kept his house safe because when addicts would come over to get high with me, which didn't happen too often later on, but did happen some when I was an addict who decided to be an addict, committed to it again. I had a long time sobriety, and I raised my kids. I was there for them. But then when I could walk them to school, and I could be the one who get them to school, see the parents, go to parent-teacher conferences, and know what was going on. I was the one who was sent with them. I'd make their breakfast. I'd make their lunch. I'd pack them, and I'd take them. I'd walk my daughter with hand in hand. I'd walk my son hand in hand down to the school. I loved spending that time with my kids because I didn't have to work at that time. I was privileged to be able to do that, and did it for a while. I didn't come from money. But money was something that was available, and I was privileged to be able to go ahead and share in that with a family that was very generous to me. But I still had to work. I still had to earn, and I still learned to take care of myself and my family too. Nobody was going to take care of them for me. Some might disagree. I was there every day. I was the one who did the nuts and bolts. And my ex-wife, I was graced by God to have a woman like that who gave me two beautiful babies that I love to death. Not to death, that I love to life. I never met a person as nice as her when I first met her. I thought she was a fraud. I said, people aren't this nice. I didn't believe that she was that nice. This is when I was young. She was older, you know. I wasn't childbait, but she was older. She was older than me, a couple of years older than me. And she had worked. She knew more about the world. I was a college kid, you know, protected. I knew about the whole world because I grew up overseas. It's going to go long. So what I'm saying is this. I'm a person who knows how to live life, and I'm a person who fell from grace too. I'm a person who lost all his students eventually. Eventually, I lost all my students because I couldn't show up for practices. I tried not to go to practices high and give lessons high or go to tournaments high. I stopped going to tournaments eventually, but because I was so oblivious to how much of my students loved me and how much the parents respected what I did, and if it's universal, maybe not true. But I know that people hung in with me even after they found out I had a problem as an addict who still used and still would fall back. And that didn't come out until I told my children that it was a fact. And I hid that from my kids, and I wasn't an addict full blown when they were growing up. No, they didn't see that shit. They saw it afterwards, after I told them when they were like 16, 14. You know, when I told them, or maybe about 16, 14, I told them. Sat them down at the kitchen table because there was nothing else that I could do to hide it anymore. I knew it wasn't going to go away, and I knew I didn't want them to find out from somebody else. So I sat them down and I told them. It surprised them, shocked the shit out of them. And then it was not a good thing for them because I didn't quit. I didn't go crazy, but I went crazy enough. I had my house alone. We were separated with my wife, ex-wife. Became my ex-wife, and she went on to marry a good dude, right, who gave her a good life in California, which she didn't like. That's a detail. But I say that because I'm like, well, maybe she moved back to Arizona, and then the kids will be nearby because they like to visit her, not me. I lost my kids after addiction took a toll on them and took a toll on her. I was the person they tried to stick with. I was the person they tried to be loyal to. I was the person who my daughter had my back. Little crazy chick, man. She wanted, you know, she wasn't a thug. She wasn't a gangster, but she, you know, I took her on a couple of things where I was like, all right, I got to go get a gun from somebody stole from me. Picked her up. My daughter says, like, I'm down. Let's go. And my son was like, fuck that. I ain't going, man. I left him at the movie theater where I picked him up. He's a good boy, good kid, good man. Good man is what I know, too. He's a soldier. He's been a soldier for 6 years, and he's coming out of it, and he's already out of it. My daughter, older than him by 2 years, went in after him, and I surprised the shit out of me that she would do that. But when my kids were young, I told them, I ain't going to pay for your college, man. I told them from the time that they were young, I ain't paying for your college. You're going to pay for your own college. I told them that because I knew that was a fact. I knew that I wouldn't have the funds to do it. We had a good life, but I made it go. I made it stretch. They never lacked for anything as far as I knew. We'd be able to take vacations, trips. You know, we weren't rich. We were middle class, so we were not middle class that had big savings accounts. No. But anyways, I digress, and this is going on really long, and I hope that I haven't lost anybody at the point of doing this, sir. I ask God, what do you want me to do? Because I ask God a lot. He's the one that drives me. He's the one that saved me. Christ saved me. Christ is the one who told me the right thing to do was to try to make my kids proud, to try to live my life, to try to be someone who could do with something with the words that God was giving me to do. God taught me how to do poetry. I hadn't done poetry to the degree that I do poetry now. I can freestyle, free rhyme. I can go ahead and free verse. I can sing songs, and I can do things that amaze me. I can speak to God, and He'll speak to me in ways that words He uses, I just know, are not me. Now, I don't know. That's not prophetic. That's not being a prophet. That's just being someone. I don't know what it's called. Not channeling, but it can be fun. It can be interesting as hell. And two, it grows my faith. And it grows my faith. God wants me to go ahead and say, I'm the man who fell from grace. I'm a man who lost his students. I'm a man who kept them till the bitter end. It's not true. I tried to keep them, but I kept telling them I'm not going to be able to be your coach anymore. All the way until I had one student left, and that one student was so damn loyal. They knew I'd get high, and then I'd come back. I wouldn't get high with them, but I'd be gone for a week or two, and I'd miss the lessons. But they called me back all the time, coach, coach, coach. And I wouldn't go to them high. I might go to them tired as hell and maybe beat up for having used. But they were just so damn loyal to me. I couldn't. Morally, I couldn't continue to tell this kid, what it is that he needs to do to overcome his difficulties of doubt about being a good player, that he had to fight, had to, struggle was part of learning, and learning was something that he was doing. And if he just kept trying and not giving up, that he would succeed in being a better player. These are things that a coach, me, was saying to someone, right, who's destined to be a freaking high level player, college for sure level, pro maybe. No doubt. He's got my smooth strokes, but he's got an amazing coach now who's solid as fuck, who trains high level kids and churns out winners all the time. And I'm not his coach. I'm not his coach, but I love to watch him play. And I love that he has someone dedicated to him and a father that is dedicated. A father that is dedicated to him too. People who know about student athletes or just kids that are dedicated to high-level sports. It's a commitment of time. It's a commitment of effort. It's a commitment of your life and commitment of your money. It's a commitment of you in your kid. But it's also a commitment that sometimes ruins relationships between parents and kids. And me being a coach and being the coach of my daughter, who ended up being a high-level player, who I made quit at 16 because I put so much pressure on her on the court. I was hard on her. She cried on the court. I pushed her, and she talked back to me. When she started to talk back to me, it became difficult, but I didn't disrespect. I love my daughter, and I loved watching her play, and I didn't tell her that enough. She played beautifully, smooth as butter as I could make. Then she run off and ruined some stuff to come back, and I had to fix it. But she knew how to be taught, and she knew how to coach too afterwards. And, at 16 she quit because I got pissed one day, and I said, quit. And she stood up to me. She said, all right, I quit. She walked off the court. She and I didn't get back on the court until like 2 years into college at NAU. She calls me, texts me. We got along. We still got along. But I was being an addict then. I disappear. I would communicate. I talk hi to them maybe. But I had about a year and a half of sobriety too. And I had something traumatic after me in 2017 that should have fucking snapped me too. Pretty damn fucking dramatic is what it was, Movie type shit, Guns and SWAT and cops and me, stupid motherfucker, running out into the street to save someone. I ain't gonna say. I don't want to tell it. I'm so sorry. I think I told that story one time before, but all right. Jesus Christ, man. Okay. So this is. If I ask God, what do I need to say? Because I'm running off at the mouth and I'm telling shit that I didn't expect to tell. I need support is what I need. I don't need support. Well, I don't know how to. I don't know how to get followers. I don't know how to increase views. I don't know how to increase people to watch what I do. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I could figure it out, but it doesn't take a lot of time for me to do it. It takes a lot of time for me to edit, not even edit it, but put the captions in, to put the words in, to run through the computer. That's not my funnest thing to do. But to spit out what it is I talk about like this, I can do this, pretty prodigiously. God limits me how much I do sometimes, though, and sometimes He surprises the hell out of me and says, "Say this and get up there, all right? Get in front of the camera, say this," and I'll spit out a poem, and I'll spit out a song, and I'll spit out something that I'll be like, holy shit, praise God. I'll know that it wasn't me. I'll know that it wasn't all me. I may get in the way sometimes of the words, and the quality may be less because I get in the way. I pick a word that's it's a weird thing to say. I pick a word or change a word that God gives me when He and I are in flow is what to say. The words I speak are the words I know, are the words He shares with me and says to me, that are the words that I can do and share to those who know that words can be a flow of words, a flow of know, a flow of share, a flow of how God can speak to anyone too, and when they get a flow that they know. Rappers do it all the time. It's true. They got flow and God's flowing through them too, but they just may not know it's God that's flowing through them when they do amazing shit that just comes out and twists them into like, holy shit, I'm fucking king of the world at a rap. Yeah, it's pretty damn cool when you experience it. And I don't know, rappers, people that rap have that experience where they just things just flow and they can't keep track of the words. They don't know what's going to come next, but they just make sense. And maybe they don't make sense when you say them, but then you play it back and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know that made as much sense as I thought when I said it, when I spit it. That happens to me all the time. It happens to me all the time. A lot. It happens a lot. So the whole point is share my shit if you can. I don't get a lot of people that share it. If you got your channel, share it. If you know anything about it, share it. Or share it, subscribe, whatever it is. I don't know. Add followers. Share it with friends. If you believe in me, then I want to make a difference in life, and a difference in my life, a difference in this world by the things that I say. And you believe that I'm genuine in it, and I'm someone who's committed to it, and I'm someone who will do it and be committed to sobriety in order to be able to do it. There's no way for me to not be able to do it if I am sober. If I'm high, I'll disappear. If I'm sober, I'll probably post every day. So if those of you who want to commit to my future as doing this, which is a second life for me, social media is something I never expected I'd ever do. Social media is something I never expected I'd ever try. Being on camera and speaking to the mic, never in my life did I ever think that I'd be comfortable to do this ever. This is so far alien to what I ever thought that I would do. I thought that I'd be end up, working for a company and then retiring and then, dying in the field somewhere. I don't know. I thought I was going to die at 30. My ex-wife can tell you that. And that was a fucking pain in the ass for me to reach 30. Yeah. I got high. I didn't miss a lot of being able to be a dad or be a man or be a parent that was responsible or an adult. I experienced all the things and did all the things and know that life is not easy, but life is possible. You can be happy, you can be joyful, and you can succeed. The basic tools that we have as people are not difficult to learn, to provide for ourselves, to have a work ethic, to have a commitment. So if you like what I do, believe in me. Like I hope that you believe in me, like I believe in you, because I believe in you all. I'm trying to share the word of, so to speak, of God in a different way. I'm not trying to be a preacher. I'm not going to throw some Bible verses at you. It's going to be a unique thing because it's a unique thing for me too. You'll hear things that may seem out of line or things you may never heard, or maybe nothing related at all to God for whatever reason I may do something. I've even thought of maybe even trying out somewhat, no, not voiceovers, but Father, what was it? My Lord? My Lord is when I talk to Jesus Christ. My Lord is the inner self, that's Christ, the Christ inside of us. And then I'll talk to God too, and I'll say, God, my Lord, and I'll be like back and forth. What am I trying? How do I say that? About what else do I say? And God will say this. You want to learn how to be someone who can express themselves about all the things that he knows how to express, but the expressions that he have are expressions that he doesn't know are expressions that can be right or wrong all the time. When you know that you want to say something and you ask God for help and you don't know what you're exactly going to say, and you feel like you're going in a circle, and God tells you what it is that you want to say. You want to talk about the way that you can share what you know and what you have experienced in life. Because life is not hard if you know how to do life, and you can do life. The things that limit life are the things that are hard in everybody's life, but sometimes tragedies or difficulties like addiction can absolutely fuck up a life. And my life was not fucked up, although I've used that term. It's made it difficult, and I've lost things and I love. And the one thing that I aspire more than anything else is when my kids stop talking to me. My son, 4 years, my daughter 2 years ago, maybe longer than that. I haven't spoken to them. not a text message, not a voice message, not a birthday, not a Christmas, because they're trying to protect themselves from a dumbass dad who was an addict, hardcore, shooting up G, shooting up meth, getting high, getting lit, getting crazy, getting raw, getting all that shit, doing the pussy stampede chase, doing all that stupid shit that people do. And people that know. And people that don't know may be shocked about a man like me talking about that. It's a man, me, talking about an experience that I had in life. When I so did that, God won't let me do that. He'll kick my ass if I fucking really want to do that shit. He doesn't stop me from getting high if he thinks that I need to get high, not because I need to, because I need to suffer is why it puzzles me why God doesn't take it away. But I'm at a point in my life now where I got my back against the wall. I'm the addict who doesn't want to end up on the street. I'm the addict who doesn't want to lose everything. I'm the addict who doesn't want to be the person that says, the reason that I don't have any money, the reason that I spent my inheritance when my dad died over a 5-year period is not because God told me to. It's because in the last year I spent it, and I spent it on bills, on basic stuff. Drugs are not expensive unless you have an expensive habit, and I did spend money on drugs. But drugs is something that nowadays is not expensive. It takes $20, $25 for me to get high. Buy $3 of syringes to shoot up, and that's cheap. And that's and I'm gone for like 5 days. I can't stay high for 5 days. I can get high for a couple of days. My tolerance is down, and I just hide in my house. That's what I do. Not doing these shit. Not doing this shit, right? But the clarity of life and the clarity of the importance of life is something that God keeps bashing into me in a good, loving way, like a father can. He loves the shit out of me, and he lets me suffer. He lets me learn through the suffering. And he doesn't take it away from me, because it's like, you need to learn how to quit, why you want to quit, why you do it, and why you can, with conviction, say, I will never use again, and believe it and do it and be the man that stands behind what he says. And I can't say that yet right now. But I know that I'm going to go into 2 weeks of sobriety. That may seem crazy for people to think. I've been doing this for like a year and a half. I'm watching this cat for a year and a half. He's getting high. You didn't watch me high. I haven't posted stuff when I was high. So, whether something looks a little off, the little off could be tired, the little off could be, I was coming down. But hardly ever. See, this is something that I don't know if God's the one who's kept me from posting shit, out of hand. And out of hand means anybody who uses drugs, you're out of your mind. You're not, you make a decision. It's not like you're drunk texting people to come over and get high or get drunk. But that can happen too, and that doesn't happen to me. I don't do that shit anymore. It's true, but my addiction can kick in and flare up. I know how to do it. I know how to party down. I know how to get down. I know how to get dirty down. I know how to do all of that shit. And people might say, what do you mean know how to do it? To know how to do something is simply to be able to arrange it, to know how to talk to people, to know how to know the people, how to recognize them. And I already know people that know people, and it's not difficult. You just got to put the word out. You just got to do it. No, I'll tell you how to do it. Do it. It ain't fun anymore. It's tragedy. That's, some people still, that people exist. But for me, it was fun, right? Until it wasn't. The drugs and the way it just changes my mind, it hurts my mind, and I know the reality of having lost my family, lost my loved ones, and now and now it's difficult. Now I have difficulty. So, if I'm sounding like I'm trying to, if I sound like a preacher and I'm trying to go ahead and say, like and subscribe so you can go ahead and tithe to me, no. I don't want anybody to send me, I don't want anybody to you can do what you want. I don't give a shit. I don't even shit if I have anything set up to where anybody can pay me, send me money, cash, or direct, or anything like that if they're supporting of a channel like this. I'd rather do it the whatever's the conventional way. You get the subscribers, you get the followers, you monetize. And TikTok, you monetize, and then you grow from there. So the only thing that I'm pretty much asking is, help me get to 10,000 followers on TikTok, or increase my followership on any of the other platforms. And apparently that makes a difference. I ask God, how do we do it? And he says, look it up. It's like, I still got to research shit, Benny. He's not a magic 8-ball. And Christ too. Christ is a magic 8-ball for sure. All right. So that's about it. That's all I say. Like, subscribe, and share. If you share, if you like what I do, share it. Put it on your post. Put it on your feed. Put it on a different platform. Share it to somebody that you think would be interested. Share it to somebody that you think maybe you're curious. This dude's doing this. Is it any good? Or maybe they might be interested in it. I'm down. I'm down to meet people. I'm down to explore whether or not what I do is unique to any special degree because I really don't know. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I don't love you, and I don't hate y'all, but I don't know none of you. Some of you, maybe I know. Some of you, some of you, they've been from the start, man. These are homies. These are homies. Hmm? Yeah, some of you are the homies, man. And if you're a homie of me, then I'm a homie to you. Yeah, compa. That's right, man. Yeah. Yeah, I got one fan. We got one super fan. I don't know. All right, but I respect the shit out of him though too. If he's somebody who hears me this, and he knows who he probably is. If you go like, "What's this motherfucker doing, man? What's he doing?" I don't know. Really, he's from New York. New York, got a New York accent. It's probably frick. I don't know. I gotta talk to you one at a time, there, homie. All right. I talked to you one time on the phone. Just started out like that. I think it'd be cool to talk. All right, whatever. Now I'm gonna have to talk to everybody. If, but I appreciate the support. I appreciate the guides. If people have guidance for me, guide me. If people just refer me to somebody that might help me, help me. All right, I ain't gonna pay out nobody. I can't pay nobody to hire somebody to book me out or to create something for me now. I'm broke ass for all that shit. All I have is the work, God's work, the passion to do it, and the dedication to do it. God told me I'm a coach and I can make money easy. I can make money. I take a bit. I haven't done it because I haven't been sober long enough to make a commitment to train somebody from that the kind of commitment I would make. I had students for years, and it is a commitment. You're a part of the family, pretty much. You're a part of the family, and you're part of their life, and it's a huge responsibility as a coach to be a part of their lives. Can't be a jackass, can't be a fool, can't be a hypocrite, can't be somebody that says things and then it's not those things. That's what I always felt like I was turning into. But thankfully, I didn't have faith in God because I didn't know God until like 5 years ago. And I just started to know him. Now I know him more than I've ever imagined I'd ever know God. People that knew me before, and I said this story before maybe to some people, it's like, I didn't give a shit about God. I thought God was for the weak, the meek, that God was for somebody who wanted to believe in the Wizard of Oz, the guy up in the sky that didn't exist. All of this was science, man. All of this, yeah, we could explain it all. This is our reality. This is what it is now. The universe is way more than what and science could even explain. And God gives me a peek. God gives me a little bit of sneak peek into some of the things. And I am amazed at some of the things, the way he can describe to me, that he wants me to describe to people, too, when I'm ready to be able to do it and not seem like a jackass. That's my technology. Yeah. I don't have an IT department, just me and my fingers. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for looking at this. And if you got to the very end here, maybe I'm going to make a real short version. I don't know what I'm going to do. God says, maybe you'll make a short version later, but not right now. We'll see how this plays. In my Lord and Savior's name, Jesus Christ, I thank you all for being a part of my share of my passion in this life. That of God Almighty, who is our Maker, and Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Everybody is brothers and sisters on this planet, no matter the faith, no matter the religion, no matter who, race, color, creed. I make no distinction between what I respect and who I respect. Everyone is deserving of respect. Their faith, their beliefs are deserving of respect. And we can talk about it a little bit more down the road, what God tells me about all that stuff too. Because they're his children too, all of us. All right, thank you. And do I love y'all? God tells me, yeah, you do. By abstention, no, by distance, see. Well, I'll do some stuff, and yeah, I do comedy too. I do comedy things, some comedy things. I like to laugh, and I don't know if they're called bits, but I have something maybe I'll try. God, I don't want to be an actor. With all mad respect to actors, but yes, please God, love him. I love watching him, but I don't want to. It's like, no, you're going to be a bad singer, bad songwriter, and an awesome orator who talks about pretty much almost anything close to God, but it's really all about God. All right. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye. Good morning. Good afternoon. And not so long. Sayonara, see ya. Arrivederci. Compa. Bravo. ¿Cómo se dice? Gracias. Bienvenidos. No. Que Dios los bendiga. No. Obrigado. Obrigado. That's a beautiful word. That means thank you in Portuguese. That was taught to me by a kid who's Brazilian. And red hair, white as fuck. They're all like that. A lot of them are like that too. All right. Beautiful kid, beautiful spirit, man. I've known him for a couple of years, and that's all the Brazilians he's Portuguese taught me, man. He's a horrible language teacher, man. Because I see him at the drive-thru, and we're like, what up, what up, what up? I remember when you barely could speak English. He's like, yeah, man. Now he speaks really good English, right? And he talks about his. I'm not gonna tell his business. All right, gotta go. Busy. All right, bye.